They will break upon this fortress like water on rock. Within these walls, we will outlast them.
Hey everyone, welcome back to this next episode of the PvP Fortress Battles. I'd promised that there would be two more after the first one, but that was about a month ago. I didn't realize that it would take me this long to get around to it at that time. Just life. That and feverishly trying to finish up my War of the Rings series. If anyone hasn't caught that yet or doesn't even know about it, I highly recommend it, of course, for all of you fellow War of the Ring aficionados out there. But also the holidays, all this other stuff, you know, just life, man, just life. So here we are, my friend and I, we're doing the PvP Fortress Battle scene. Really the only people that I'm aware of to do it. In case you didn't catch the first episode I did on all of this, I and my friend and I, we wanted to really try out something totally different and new, but that also involves a lot of different testing, a lot of different practice sessions, which we just ultimately don't have a whole lot of time to do. But what I'm ultimately trying to say is that it's so different, it's so asymmetrical, that conventional PvP wisdom doesn't always apply. And so we're trying out different ideas here. You probably noticed that this is a 3v1, and I have him with two peasant AI allies. Now, you might, laugh about that and say, oh, that's so pathetic. How could you not beat two peasant AI allies? Well, you'll see in this game how much harder it is than you might think when everyone's so spaced out and you have a very confined space. Maybe, other players would be able to do it a lot better than I would. I'm sure that there are a number of people out there who are just so incredible at PvP that they'd be able to pull this off. Ultimately, no real sweat against two peasant AI allies. But here's the thing. I'm not one of them. I'm not a pro. I don't take part in the PvP scene a whole lot. It's usually just, going up against the bots, which can be challenging enough. But I really want to try something a little different here. And what also makes it tricky is that he is the dwarves. Now, the dwarves are hard enough in and of themselves, but he can, he can place down mines in his allies' bases and basically just teleport around the map as he wills. That makes it a lot harder. And with Gondor, which is my favorite faction to play as, it makes it even trickier because they don't have any debuffs. Now, some of you pro guys out there, you'll probably be scoffing or something like that because you know exactly how to take them out with Gondor. I'm not pro, but my point is that from my experience level, just trying this out, is that, I think that the best thing to take down the dwarves are the debuffs. Probably Mordor is the best bet, at least from, what I understand. So next time I'll be able to challenge him a little bit better, I think. As it stands, though, I play a decent game, a decent enough game with Gondor here. One of the great strengths of Gondor is that they have cheap early game units, the Lamadon clansmen and the Linhir spearmen, along with the cavalry of Penethgillen and the bowmen from Morthond. So I'm able to hurry up and get these units here rocking and rolling pretty quick. I'm trying. My ultimate aim here is to try to rush one of the peasant, one of the peasant AI allies of his, before he's able to get too much of a foothold, trying to get his mines out there to defend them. In retrospect, what perhaps I should have done would be to have attacked him first. He would be on the far right, by the way. He's green dwarves. And you'll see what I mean later. He did some things that I was not anticipating. So the game starts off maybe a little slow here, but it's all necessary for preparation. Never want to take preparation for granted in these fortress PvP battles. You'll also see something else that was incredibly frustrating in this match, which I still can't believe that they made this map this way. Inside of your own fortress, you cannot have any summons at all. I tested this in World Builder just to be absolutely sure. For anyone who's not savvy on World Builder and how these maps are made, there is a certain kind of terrain that you put down that you can't use your summons on. And they made it to where you cannot use summons at all in your own fortress. And for any Gondor player, you know that several of your most important spellbook powers come from summons, and that includes land buffs, such as the Garden of Athelion. But I'm also not even able to summon Elisar, and you'll see how much that cripples me later on in the game here. But I'll get to that here in a little bit.
Shoulder those swords. We protect the Black Root Vale. We will fight until the end. Close the distance. The enemy is near. Clansmen fight for Gondor.
So I do a good enough job here, I think, about rushing the Mordor enemy. He doesn't get up a whole lot of troops, which is a little disappointing. I mean, I kind of anticipated that in a sense. I figured, well, he's got two other AI, or excuse me, allies to help him out. That maybe that'll help to compensate. Again, this is a lot of experimentation, a lot of trying to figure out the proper balance. We've talked about using handicaps, increasing the difficulty of the AI, but using handicaps and seeing how all that works to get that perfect sense of balance. A lot of tweaking going on. And as you can see, he's got his dwarves out. He's ready to defend him, so he's not too far away with a mine. I don't know exactly where he's got it. But I think it was just right off screen there.
We serve Lord Dweezil. Seek shelter. 4 men of Morthor near.
So I don't know if you noticed, I think that he had the I couldn't tell for sure, but he might have had the Iron Hills Warriors. Nope, they're not Iron Hills yet. But dwarves are so tanky just to start off. I've done a lot of tests about how the Gondor early game troops do against dwarves, and I know that he can tank me pretty easily with dwarves. It's a lot easier in many ways if you can use cavalry, which is why I've got the Pinnith Galen riders ready to go here in a second. In retrospect, perhaps I shouldn't have fled as far away. Instead of fleeing, maybe I could have used the riders in conjunction with my army. But I mean, it works out in the end. It lures him away. he has to take a lot harder or a lot longer to try to get back to defend. What I could have stood to do as well is get some siege going. I can't remember right offhand if siege is able to go through those tunnels there. I can't remember if you have to go through the main gate or not.
We have answered the call. Our blades are at the ready.
Tell us what you need. Ride!
The enemy is near. The enemy is near. There are wargs near.
Move out, riders of Pinnathgillen.
Ride for the glory of Gondor.
Forward!
We will fight until the end. Come, lads.
For Gondor!
Band together.
For Gondor! Away! Tear it down for Gondor!
Clansmen fight for Gondor.
It's shocking that they had their spearmen not go for my cavalry.
Your lord commands it!
By the way, that reminds me, it's important to note that this game was recorded before AOTR 9.2 is released. 9.2, of course, incorporated some major AI changes where the AI units will actually engage your army instead of just gunning for certain targets. Structural targets like your farms. So maybe if this was on the 9.2 line, this that would have been different, where the spearmen might have engaged my cavalry.
We clansmen fight for Gondor. Duty calls.
Fresh horses, sharp spears.
Bowmen of Morthor near.
Our blades are at the ready. What's your dilly-dallying?
Ready your arrows.
Our enemy has claimed these lands.
It's the enemy! Take cover, men!
I should have been getting some more farms going there a little bit earlier. Alright, so now Isengard is starting to come to the fray. My buddy was telling me that throughout the game up until about now, Isengard wasn't really doing anything at all. Mordor was at least doing something, but he was saying that Isengard just wasn't building any troops, wasn't doing really anything. So that was a little disappointing. I thought that Isengard might have been a little bit more engaging. Again, a lot of experimentation, a lot of trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, based on my own personal skill level here as the defender in the fortress.
Our blades are at the ready.
You got a job for us?
Shoulder those swords.
I'm a firm believer that handicaps are totally permissible. I know that a lot of people out there are not savvy on that at all, but when you're playing something so asymmetrical as this, I think that it's more than understandable to use asymmetrical means. This isn't balanced. Even the developers have said as much. If you ever check out their Discord, the AOTR Discord, you'll see what I mean. That Fortress maps are made not to be balanced. They've also said that they're usually made just for players versus AI, PvE, but I think that they can also accommodate human versus human just fine. I see no reason why that shouldn't be the case. So here, as you can see, I'm trying to
The enemy is near.
Watch out behind you! Tell us what you need.
just rush his fortress. knowing that my siege is going to take too long to get there. What I should have done was I should have gotten forelong. I should have gotten forelong to unlock the soldiers of Lossernach with their axes. Their axes would have taken down that fortress a lot sooner, as well as the rest of his base for that matter. For anyone who doesn't know, axemen and axes in general are extremely good at taking down structures. So that includes your wild men, your axe-wielding Dunlendings, or not Dunlings, but you know what I mean, for Isengard, who have their thrown axes. And there's a handful of other units as well across the game. There's not many, but enough to make a difference if you've got a whole army of them to want to take out bases. I think it would have fared a lot better if I had thought about that beforehand. I should have developed a keener strategy going in. But again, this is a lot of experimentation. This is a lot of 2020 and hindsight kind of stuff going on right now. In the moment, especially because we just kind of decided on it at the spur of the moment, my buddy and I, we were just gaming one night and we said, hey, you know, it'd be kind of fun to try something a little different. So we said, yeah, let's do it. You know, at the spur of the moment, there was no strategy, nothing like that in preparation. Going forward, I think that would be the best in order to figure out how best to test this balance. And by the way, again, if you missed it in the first Fortress Battle PvP episode I did about a month back now, I did a call out to all BFME gamers, whether you're a pro or otherwise. I would love to have more people to play with. You know, I love playing with my friend, but you know, he just doesn't always have the time to do it. I can make time a lot more readily to play with players than he is. But I like to play with, you know, people who are like-minded and like myself, who like to try different things like this. A lot of people, they get very into the competitive PvP scene. I'm not like that personally. I like to do something different. A lot of fellow people who have been following this channel for a while. I'm a small channel, but you know that I like doing things very differently. I'm not big into the competitive scene. I like doing PvP once in a while, but I prefer to do stranger things like this, more experimental things. I like doing more custom maps. I'm not opposed to using custom heroes. I know that a lot of people don't like that. I think, though, that as long as everybody is using custom heroes, that it ultimately balances itself out. As cheap as some of them can be on the surface, I think that it balances itself out in the end. And there's some great stuff that you can do with custom heroes, too, that's not so much about raw power and all the big splashy AoE effects. I like using them for spying, for instance. They can get massive range, sight range, and all that. I did a video on that quite a long time ago now in my stealth series, if anyone's interested in checking that out. Again, you know, a lot of people don't even get into the whole stealth mechanic, but I really like all of this, all these miscellaneous, obscure features of BFME that most people just don't like going in for. I've been playing these kinds of games since I was a young lad, and I like playing them in a more relaxed way. Anyways, so as you can see here, I'm trying to get my troops down to the Isengard faction here, but he's got a mine down there, so I took way too long trying to take out Mordor. My intent was to rush Mordor as fast as I could, but it just was not fast enough. I should have used the Lossernach Axemen. That would have helped me a lot, instead of gunning for Boromir. I was also thinking of it in terms of trying to get Boromir and also the soldiers of Minas Tirith, so that way he'd be able to buff them out. I'd have an easier time against the already tricky dwarves and their high armor buffs from their leaderships, as well as the armor they start off with. So I was thinking of it in those terms. I think it would have served me a lot better had I just rushed Mordor and then Isengard with the Axemen. And the Axemen also have splash damage, which would have helped a lot with the spamming troops of both of those factions. They wouldn't have helped me much of anything at all against the dwarves, though. So that's where it would have gotten me, and that's where I was coming from, just trying to use the Lambadon clansmen. I did, if you notice down there, I did try to use the in unit, the dwarven miners, to help compensate for my lack of resources, and also to try to take out his structures a little bit faster. They do some pretty good structure damage, much more so than the Lambadon clansmen, and even the Minas Tirith troops, I believe. But again, it's just one in unit, or in structure, so slower production. And as you can see, they were able to start breaking down my gates here, which distracted me a little bit, slowed me down. They managed to sneak in a couple of them, actually. I only noticed one or two, but in the back of my base, they had a couple of them that they were taking my structures out a bit, sneaking around, and I was so distracted by the goings out on the field of battle here that I didn't notice it in time. Those gates, once they're smashed down, they are so expensive to repair, and that set me back financially. I didn't get my... see what I mean? There's a battering ram that they managed to sneak around here, and so I'm thinking here about what to build next. What I can use to try and get up some defense. Just something to help take out these guys without having to take my army back there. It's one of the frustrating things about battering rams, is that they're single units, and then they're up against your your battalions, and the battalions don't always form around that single unit all that well, and so it can seem to take an interminable amount of time to take them down, especially when you're under pressure like I am right now. And foolish me, I didn't have a heal power at the ready. One of the challenges of doing this is that I don't think about my spellbook powers as much as I'm thinking about my units, and I panicked here. I didn't get out my heal power ahead of time to prepare for such an eventuality as that. He liked using the Iron Hills crossbowmen, which anyone who knows dwarves will know that they have that armor piercing ability. And it doesn't take long to take out a hero. Usually they can withstand archer units quite well, but not in this case. And as you can see, there's another there's another battering ram. They took out some of my structures over there, so I got to try to get them going again. And one of the other things that I didn't have in my favor is that I didn't have enough farms. So, I mean, I have a decent amount of money right now, but I should have gotten more heroes out. I should have gotten more elite units as well. My heroic units, I could have gotten those out. At least one or two of them by now. So here we are coming to the middle of the game, and I've lost my hero that I was counting on to stand firm against the dwarves. So I think at this point, unfortunately, that the tide turned. Once I lost Boromir, I lost my leadership for all my troops down there when I was attacking Isengard. If I at least been able to get him back and retreated with my troops, it would have been a lot better for me. I've got a decent amount of troops still coming along, but ultimately the tide has been turned at this point. And then I noticed that he builds walls. Now in my book, I don't have any real problem with walls, especially in a more casual game. Even when we're trying to figure out balance like this, I'm not going to be one of those guys that tells someone how to play. I don't believe in that philosophy whatsoever. I know that a lot of people are real sticklers against using walls for any reason at all. I am not one of them. I think that things balance themselves out in the end. For instance, he could have taken his troops and really hammered me a lot earlier in the game had he not taken his time to build his walls. Not to mention, he's one of the players, he's a old school gamer, kind of like myself, who likes to just, you know, play in a more relaxed fashion. He loves base building, and so do I. And I think that that does balance itself out in the long run, especially here in AOTR, where they've made wall segments a lot more expensive to build and in a much smaller radius. And he told me that he actually started doing that. One of the first things he started doing in the game, because he knew that I could start coming down and harassing him from my tunnels up there. And with impunity, basically, it would have been a lot harder for him to defend himself than it would have been for me to attack, had I decided to do that, which I wish I would have, because all of these AI allies just have too much of an advantage with him being able to build mines in their bases. And as you can see down that way, I tried to get up a Citadel of Dol Amroth, just sneak it in somewhere. I couldn't get it in my base, and there's the area around the fortress here is just much too small for summoning anything, let alone a structure. So, double whammy. So I'm trying to think of a place where I could put it to sneak it out to get some of my elite troops, like my heroic units, but it just didn't work out. He had a mine there. So, you know, he really tied my hands that were already tied to begin with by having the vision radius of the mines planted in different areas. So good on him. He was looking ahead there. So here I am. I'm still trying to use my spam strategy. I'm using the spellbook power there that spams them out a lot faster. And then I noticed that he's got his catapults firing on my base. What I failed to do here, which screwed me up as well, I didn't put the troops on guard mode, and they ended up just kind of going off into the blue and getting nubbed by all the catapults, when I should have had them surrounding my trebuchets to guard them. One of the great things to balance out the siege warfare in this, if your enemy ever gets wall catapults like my friend has going here, they disabled wall catapults from being able to have a range increase, which is by hitting the D key. If you hit the D key for any siege that's not a monster like Ents or Mamakill, because in AOTR, you know, Mamakill have those catapults on their back. Well, for any machine-related siege, all you have to do is just hit the D key, and they have greater range by about 10%, 15%, something like that. I can't remember. And that's enough for you to have your siege machines just outside of the range of his wall catapults. Wall catapults, AOTR was the AOTR devs were very smart to disable that function for the wall catapults. I cover that in one of my other videos on the attribute modifier system, where I was talking about siege warfare and how siege range can be stacked quite a bit, and what you can do to counter anyone who wants to use wall catapults with your own siege. And in vanilla, that is not the case, by the way. So AOTR has made sieging a lot more efficient for the attacker than it is for the defender in that way. But you still got to know what you're doing, otherwise your catapults can just go off into the blue and get wrecked. You have to really micromanage them. And in this case, I did not realize just how much of a network of walls he had. I completely underestimated. I thought that maybe I'd be able to fire over my tunnel walls here, which is hilarious enough. He can't do that because of him being far down there, but I can, and it's just one of those cheap things about fortress maps. It's like flying units. Flying units can just fly right into the fortress, no problem. But anyways, so as you can see here, I noticed that he's got a network of walls there, but I don't have enough trebuchets to really impact it, even with the flaming shot I'll give them later on. So I focused too much there. I was thinking that maybe I could quickly break through his walls and rush my troops out to him, because I see how much more dangerous he is at this point. I want to try to take him on as fast as I can before he gets even more dangerous. And I'm thinking that I was able to use LSR. This is when I realized I can't summon him anywhere in my base. Maybe if I could have, I might have been able to push, but I just didn't have the wherewithal to figure out that all I have to do is just keep sieging him with my siege machines there, and then have my troops stand in the gap, if you will, over at the gate to keep them from busting through all the time. I could have done both. Here I used Denethor. I'm wanting to recruit him to try to get his Palantir power in order to spy on him to see exactly how bad off he is and to get a better sense of range and target him with my siege. And again, because I didn't think of this ahead of time, now Isengard is flooding into my base. All I had to do was just stand outside my gate and it would have been a lot better. Again, hindsight is always 20/20. So it takes a lot of practice, for sure. Again, this game was done kind of on spur of the moment, so I didn't have enough time to practice beforehand. So any tips out there that you want to take, practice beforehand. There's such different kinds of maps that you really need that kind of preparation. And look at that. He did not spare any money trying to block my entrance into his base. So he was very smart there. I should have just stopped. Seeing how much action was happening at my gate here, I should have just tried to bring them around and push down on Isengard. Or if not Isengard, then at least down further there. But I suspect that he probably had as intimidating a network of walls down there as well. And when you've got an AI on you while trying to lay siege against the dwarves, that's not a good idea. So, yeah, I mean, you usually just want to try to take out the weaker enemies first. You're going to have a hard enough time against your against the human player. Now, how it would be against 3 human players, I can only speculate. I've done it once or twice with a group of friends a long time ago, and again, you have to have handicaps. And I mean, unless you're one of those hyper pros, which I am definitely not, I don't know how you can do that in AOTR, especially given that you don't have free build functionality. You have only limited build plots. Maybe if there were twice as many build plots on a map like this, I don't know, but I'm not convinced you don't need handicaps when you are up against several players. And I'd love to experiment with that with anybody out there. So again, the call the call out to BFME gamers, it still holds. Now, as you noticed, I had an army of Penethgelen riders and also riders of Minas Tirith standing by there. One of my worst mistakes was focusing so much on cavalry. I wasn't thinking in the sense of, well, he's going to have a bunch of his Iron Hills warriors coming in. I was thinking of it in the sense that I'd be able to rush my cavalry down to the Isengard base while he's distracted up there, which actually works to an extent. But I get spooked too much by the spearmen that Isengard starts throwing my way, like right there.
We will fight until the end. Show them no fear.
And I don't have nearly enough archers to counter all of his Iron Hills warriors. That was one of my other mistakes in this. You know, I kept thinking of it in terms of melee, but what I really needed was the Minas Tirith troops with their shield mode, their shield ability enabled, to hold the line enough that I could use my archers in the background to just pick off his Iron Hills troops. And again, not having my hero summon for LSR really hurt. So at least I was smart enough to keep trying to lay siege to him while I had my troops doing other things. It didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It was a waste of time, but I was at least playing it smart in that way. So here I finally get LSR, but by now half of my base or more is destroyed, and he's about ready to take out my citadel there. So there's no point in me trying to do much of anything else at this point. I'm basically just talking with them at this point and seeing everything that happens. At least he was able to get a small victory there in taking out his Iron Hills crossbowmen. Yeah, and then I started thinking, well, maybe I can at least try getting his troops by the Oathbreakers. Maybe I could take out his army here, and I time it just slightly off, so it doesn't really do as much as I wanted it to. I took out some, but I didn't take them all out.
I will restore hope to men.
Stand back! I will not let our people fail!
In this place I will abide, and my heirs, unto the ending of the world.
Yeah, these AI voices, man. I really wish they would have just stuck with the way that they used to do things by hiring voice actors. I think that works so much better. It's so much more organic. It's much more in keeping with the theme of the books. You know, machine versus man, soullessness, etc. By keeping the voice actors. I think it's just it's not a good way to go. It's not a good sound. Nothing about it is good to me. It's just kind of lazy. But it's a small thing I can deal with. The rest of AOTR is so incredible. You know, I can overlook that. But anyway, so yeah, as you can see, this is a bit harder than I expected it to be. Taking down the two peasants, I thought that would be a lot easier and then I'd be able to have a more one-on-one showdown with my buddy. But I completely underestimated how hard it would be for even peasants, because I wasn't thinking in the sense of him having, my buddy having the dwarven mines everywhere. So something to know for next time. And you can see how we did. He did a pretty good job overall. But yeah, so anyways, that's it for this game. I look forward to doing some more of these down the road. And I'm going to give a bonus here in this episode as well. I'm going to show just what we did a little bit with our last game, which is actually our first game. We first started with the Wulfborg fortress map, but it was several tries, and just, again, not really knowing how to play on a map like that to begin with, and not really doing PvP fortress maps much before. That was really our first go around, but it's good enough that we can share it just to show you exactly what we were going through. It's a shame that his mic audio wasn't able to be recorded. That way we could have our two-way conversation. It was just me that was recorded, so it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I get to do a commentary track, talk a little bit more about other things here as well. So I'm going to talk about that those series of experimental games for the Wulfborg map here in a little bit. Hey everyone, so I'm going to do the last commentary here for the last Fortress Battle PvP that my friend and I did from about a month ago. We did 3 of them back to back that night. Well, actually 4. You'll see that this last one is actually 2 small ones. The last one I decided that I'd keep. There's enough of it in there. There's a lot more in the first of these 2 Wulfborg games, but yeah, it's an interesting ride. There's a lot of strange things that go on. So this one, I decided that I would have, because this is actually our first game of that night. I decided that I'd try out the soldier AI, and my friend teamed up against me, and that's when I decided after these 2 games that we did the other two videos with the Kingdom of Erebor and the Dwarf Hold fortress maps, where we decided to do only peasant AI. And like I've been saying before, it's all part of the experimentation process. This, you'll see how much more difficult having a soldier AI is than a peasant, especially on a smaller fortress map like this, where they can really stick it to you. The map is so confined, so I don't know, you could say disjointed in a way. It's a beautiful fortress map, but there's some interesting things that I would want to change for various fortress maps going forward. As I brought up with the Dwarf Hold fortress map a minute ago, that the terrain inside the fortress was not able to allow you to summon anything, and this is kind of how it is in here. You'll see what I mean here in a little bit, that I'm not able to summon my Dol Amroth Citadel. And so what I would want to change with various fortress maps going forward, and I'm going to try to release a video or 2 on this later on down the line, and I want to get anyone's thoughts on it as well. Anyone who wants to talk. I have a pretty quiet audience. But the terrain in this, for instance, I would want to flatten out. You can just barely see it right there where the Lamedon clansmen are standing, that the terrain is hilly right there. It's got like I don't know, there's depressions there, and just right through the gate as well. And that terrain keeps you from being able to summon things. And that shouldn't be the case, I don't think. I don't think that's very fair to a Gondor player. And that pole in the middle, I mean, all of these things, they look good, but if it interferes with gameplay, then it's a no-no. Something else that I'd like to, that I'm thinking about changing, I've messed with this in another fortress map on my own before, the Framsburg fortress. See those humongous towers there at the gates? I have messed with putting in the old Gondor fortress upgrade, or not upgrade, but structure from vanilla that allows you to garrison troops inside of it. You can get 2 inside of each of them. They're the dormitories. And what I did, I made a custom map for Framsburg where each of those would have a dormitory placed inside of them. And you could actually put your troops on the walls and then garrison them inside of those towers to make the fortress just come alive more and actually make those towers more functional. And I think that especially for a game like this, where the odds are really stacked against you inside the fortress, you don't have any secret passageways out like postern gates where you can attack the enemy or anything like that. I think that having those towers fully manned like that will go a long ways towards not only bringing the fortress to life, but also just helping you in much needed defense. And as you just saw there was a hobbit unit that managed to sneak through the gate, and you'll see later that it actually breaks down the gate. I didn't realize as I was playing this that units could even destroy the gates. I always thought they did such a minimal amount of damage that it would be negligible. But I was proven wrong, and that is not the first time that this happens. In this game it is, but in the next game you'll see another time where it happens. And it's incredibly distracting. Some of the AI just makes a beeline straight for your gates. And if you don't have troops standing by to take them out, well, then they take out your gate. And that's what happened here. And then the other thing that kills me as well is that a lot of times fortress maps will glitch out. There's a well-known bug for gates that, well, they allow any unit through, whether it be human or AI, even when they're closed. And unfortunately, it's a bug that cannot be fixed. It goes all the way back to the vanilla games. It's just something that they don't know how to do, at least not yet. So that's one of those things that I think would help to accommodate that problem. Just being able to have your towers at your gates being able to be manned with troops against such a problem. The other thing that I think would be able to help as well would just be not allowing units to do any damage to the gates. And hopefully that would negate anyone trying to attack the gate. But I don't know. I don't know enough about all of that. I'd love to get some thoughts, though, on it all. So there's those things. And for the Kingdom of Erebor fortress map, again, something else that I want to try to make a video on at some point. One of the gameplay issues that my friend and we discovered on further playing it on our own was if you were to try to assault the Kingdom of Erebor's gate with Grond, if you're Mordor, that battering ram, that gigantic battering ram, cannot cross the bridge that leads to the gate, and that just absolutely kills, the sense of theatricality if you're playing Mordor and you finally get Grond, and then it just can't cross the bridge for no good reason at all. It's just a bug in the bridge structure. So what I did is I remade the bridge as a land bridge and then decorated it up with some really good looking stonework to make it look like an actual bridge with a little, I don't know what you'd call it, culvert or something like that underneath it to let water pass through. So I'd like to make a video on that and show some of these ideas just to try to beautify the maps a little bit more. It's no slam against the map makers who made these beautiful maps, but sometimes it interferes with gameplay. I think the original bridge actually does look good, for instance, but you know, it's just one of those things that if it interferes with gameplay, then it shouldn't be. So I'm going to try to do some of that and get anyone's thoughts. That if anyone cares to, you know, to talk about it, I'm always up for ideas and interactions. I'd love to be able to do these maps more with people who have the same kind of interest. Alright, so back to this game. You can see that my friend uses the, I can't remember exactly what they're called. They're like heirloom tradesmen or something like that, that grant a small bounty bonus for every kill for surrounding units. And that's a great way to get you some extra cash flowing there. As you can see, I didn't have enough spearmen. And there they go. The glitch, where they can go right through the gate.
We've improved the smithy. We have orders. Hurry, soldiers. Hold the line.
We clansmen fight for Gondor. Close the distance.
Archers of the Black Root Vale, at the ready.
Be on guard. Ready yourselves. Soldiers of Gondor.
We await the steward's order.
Prepare for battle. March. We are the spearmen.
Don't let them any further.
So as you can see, I'm doing pretty well overall, trying to defend the gate. Trying to figure out a good balance about how to
We are bowmen.
keep my guys at the gate
Ready your arrows.
and being able to go through the gate and keeping the units, my enemy units, from going through it as well.
We are ready for orders.
Keep going.
We bring spears from Lindia.
Go.
Gondor is a pretty nice, you know, stronger spam faction in that way. They're not spam units, but they're cheap enough, especially with that
Rest easy, men.
We've improved the
signal spellbook power.
Up the hill.
The beacon fires there that I just unlocked, where it gets them the upgrades.
Bowmen of
And you can
Mordor.
spam them out pretty fast.
Tell us what
So I'm trying to push against the Rivendell ally, his AI ally.
we come from Lamadon.
And I started doing that a little bit.
Spears ready.
Archers of the
We are
Black Root
warriors of
Vale,
Lindia.
at the ready.
Shoulder those
Ready your
swords.
arrows.
See, sometimes I get into this funk where I should use that beacon ability more,
Clansmen fight for Gondor.
and I'm always getting into this funk where I don't want to use it because I'm afraid I'm going to need it more so down the line. When in fact, 9 times out of 10, I seem to need it right when I get it.
Duty calls. We will fight until the end. Clansmen
The other thing that kills me sometimes is that you can't select the gate knob, or whatever you call it, the thing that opens and closes the gates when you want. Sometimes you really have to work at it. Like that.
We clansmen fight for Gondor.
Quickly, and they get too close. Ready your arrows. Keep them at bay. Hold the line.
We have answered the call. We come from Lamadon. Come, lads. Time to go.
We've improved the archery range.
So now he's sending in his troops.
Let's do. Clansmen
And they
of
broke down
Lamadon,
my gate.
ready for orders.
We await the steward's
This
order.
is where I learned the hard way that, yes, units can slip through your gates and also do enough damage over time to take them down.
We need more resources.
Duty calls.
We serve the steward.
We will fight until
So
the
now
end of
I
Lamadon.
do need that power, so I was actually right this time around. I needed it quickly. The cool thing is that it grants your fiefdom troops the armor bonus they only get at level 4. Later on, I get out Forlong, which gives them that experience boost necessary to get that armor a little bit faster. And I also do get the Axeman of Lossernach, in this case because I knew of how much spam would be thrown my way from the Rivendell troops, and in the confined environment, I was smart enough to go for the Men of Lossernach, the Axemen that do a lot of spam damage and structure damage. But now I'm fighting on 2 fronts. My friend, I'm not too sure exactly what he was doing in this match. I know that he held back a little bit. He's more of the defensive player, so he might have been trying to just slowly gather his forces, or maybe build some walls or towers in anticipation of me trying to hit him in his base. I'm not too sure. I know that he didn't come in too much in this match, which works out. I mean, I would have really had a hard time. And you can see how much I'm getting spammed on the left now, as well as at my other gate. I mean, this Rivendell soldier ally AI is quite formidable on its own, and you can see how hard of a time I'm having. Which is another reason why I think handicaps are necessary. And I think personally that's part of the reason why a lot of players don't like playing fortress maps. For one, I think a lot of people are probably a little uncomfortable with it because of how different they are. You have to play in ways that most people don't, so you have to kind of refigure out or rejigger the system, if you will. And another thing is that I think that if people are honest, or at least a lot of people are honest, they would probably figure out they would have to use handicaps. And for some reason, I don't think a lot of people, I don't know, they almost feel like they're ashamed to use them or something. I don't have any shame in using them, at least not in the sense of, as long as the game is still challenging and it's fun. You don't want it to be too easy, of course. You still want it to be a good challenge and look good, especially for these recorded games. You want it to feel right. It needs to feel, it has to have that right sense to it. And that's a hard thing to nail down. The fine tweaking, the fine tuning is all too necessary for fortress maps. I don't know that a lot of people really care about all of that. But I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think about handicaps? What do you think about the use of asymmetrical methods like that? I'm pleasantly surprised, looking back on this game, that I can actually use the Garden of Ithilien right over the gate like that. There wouldn't be that obstruction keeping me from using it. And that certainly helps in this case to hold the line here for at least a little bit. Now, something else that I've fiddled around with, but I don't know enough about, just kind of ideas in my head, would be walls. Allowing walls to actually buff your troops. Again, another asymmetrical consideration. It would bring the fortress to life that much more as well. What I would want, though, is just an armor buff. Taking a bit of inspiration, honestly, from the Oddities mod, which I haven't played a whole lot of on my channel, but there are a few games. The Oddities mod, apparently, or it's either that or the Oddities Unchained sub-mod, they do actually have buffs for your troops that are stationed on walls and fortresses. At least the fortress, you know. For those who aren't familiar with the Oddities mod, they mix BFME 1 style gameplay with ROTWK. And so in a lot of maps you get your BFME 1 style castles, just the normal ones that have the build plots in them. You know, they're like circular for Gondor or square for Rohan. And they mix that with the free build gameplay of ROTWK. Or you could play build plot system. Anyways, I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but what I'm trying to say is that they've incorporated to where any units that are on your walls actually get an armor bonus and also a firing range bonus. So your archers can fire out farther and also have walls buffing their armor, which is all too appropriate. But as far as I understand, I don't believe that Age of the Ring does. I seem to remember seeing that in the forums where they don't. And I have fiddled around with that idea before of actually having walls buff units out. I think that would help a lot for a Fortress player who's so outmatched, especially if you're not going to be using handicaps. I mean, the Fortress player really has the world against him. It's such high pressure. So you can see I'm really struggling here. There's that hill I was telling you about. That I think messes with my ability to defend the gate as well. Yeah, you can see the spamming potential of Rivendell. The soldier AI is just too much. Yeah, this is an interesting first game for the night. Learned a lot that night of the way that PvP Fortress battles can go. And again, this is just the AI ally. This is not my buddy stringing along with it. Now, I seem to remember that I did post a Fortress battle or two. I can't remember if it was just one or two of me up against a couple of bots. And I did a pretty good job. I know I won it. Certain factions also perform just better than others in terms of how much they can spam, how fast. Yeah, see, I'm caving in here. So we try it one more time. I was in the mood. I felt like that was a good warm-up session. And I wanted to try the same map again. It has some different results, but it's not radically different. But anyways, so I know that I've done at least one of these Wulfborg Fortress maps before. I did a pretty good job. Sometimes certain factions will do better in the defense of a fortress than others. I think that dwarves are probably the best. They have such high armor that they can stand in the gap much better, I think, than any other faction. You don't have to move fast, so they can't be outmaneuvered. I just like Gondor. I mean, I play other factions, of course, as you've seen from the channel, but it's a well-known fact that dwarves are just so much tankier than other factions. But I like the feel of Gondor. I like how much more fluid you can play as them. They get the cavalry, and I love the cavalry. What I need to do more, though, is get their Archers of Athelion, honestly. That's one of the things that really messes me up in these games, but you have to unlock them through Faramir, and then you got to get your archeries up to level, archery ranges up to level 3. I mean, there's just so much involved that it slows it down too much, at least for me, to try to get any one archery range up high enough to unlock those guys en masse. And they are expensive. But, I mean, if you can get those bodkin arrows of theirs, keep them up on the walls or something. That's the other thing, though, and this is where I'm getting at with the wall buffing idea. You know, some of those units up on the walls are just so vulnerable Whereas if you've got archers behind your troops,
Clansmen of
standing in the
Lamberton,
gate,
ready for
standing in the
orders.
gap, then they're not as likely to be targeted. The enemy archers are going to be much more able and likely to target your what you call them, your melee troops instead of the archers standing behind them. So I think that, you know, having an armor buff up on the walls would be a good start, but I also think that there could be a function for the walls to sort of simulate the function of a wall and parapets and all that. That I don't know if this is even possible in the code or not, but to have walls make it to where arrows could miss sometimes. That is a thing in the code where sometimes archers will miss other units, like single units, for instance. Single units like berserkers, for instance, are actually harder to target than other units are. But I don't know if a wall could be programmed in that way or not. Just some ideas. I'd want to get rid of that tree in the middle as well. Again, just one of those things that I would want to be able to summon a citadel there, or a hero or some such.
Archers of the Black
Tell us what you need.
It looks really cool. I love that tree in the middle, but in terms of gameplay value, and then units have to go all the way around it. I mean, beautification only goes so far. It's one of those things that I really appreciate about the Oddities mod and their own original fortress maps. They don't have very many, but what they do have, they definitely make them stand out in terms of gameplay value. They're not as beautiful as AOTRs by any stretch, and again, it's no slam against them. It's you know, artistic tastes versus gameplay tastes and all that. But I think that for all the beauty that the AOTR's maps have, they can also sacrifice a little too much on gameplay value. And look at that, there's a table in the tower there. I never noticed that. That's a cool idea.
We await the steward's
Just a
order.
little dining table there with some stools.
Pick up those bows.
Fight until the end. We clansmen fight for
So yeah, in terms of gameplay here, there's ultimately not as much to say on this specific map. That's why I'm talking about so many other things, is because the map is so small, you're really kind of stuck in a very limited range of options about what you can do. But it is a cool map. I do like playing it from time to time. It's just one of those things where you really need to practice it beforehand, just like anything else. And as I said before, this is one of those nights where we just spur of the moment said, hey, let's get a game going on a fortress map. Let's try it.
Quit your dilly-dallying.
So in this one, though, I do manage to make it down to the Rivendell base a bit better.
We serve Lord Gwyn.
Last game, I was only able to take out a farm or two, or in this case, an orchard or two,
What does the steward fight until the
to
end?
make it a little bit deeper, and I decide that I'm going to really gun for his unit production, his Dunedain encampment.
Quickly, and they get too close.
And you can see him hotkeying, by the way. I usually like to put my main structures at number 5, number 6, and number 7. So that way when I'm out on the field of battle, I can just quickly hit the key and then use another hotkey like W to keep using those spam units, or producing those spam units. Here's my buddy. Green dwarves there trying to come in, help out a little bit. I think in this game he does participate a little bit more. Right here. Yep. Yep.
We're going home.
We bring spears from
Clansmen
Lydia.
fight for Gondor.
That's a smart man right there, looking after his AI ally like that, repairing the structures.
Moment of more
For
thought here.
Ramadan! For the clans!
Hold the line!
Yeah, you kind of need a token force to defend the gate while you're doing your other thing instead of bringing your whole army back. I think that's kind of a silly thing that I did that.
Forward! Move up!
It's an instant reactionary thing to want to bring your whole army back
Pick up those bones!
instead of just keeping one unit there.
Fight until the end.
We protect the Black Root Vale.
Clansmen,
We await the steward's order.
shoulder those
Rest easy,
swords.
men.
The Lord
We'll have
of
a
the
better
Sonic
view there.
comes to you. What can I do for you?
We serve Lord Sweet here.
With me! Attack, men of the Sonic!
Hit the enemy! Ready your arrows! Guard the area!
Doing fine.
I do miss the days in vanilla where you could have free build available.
Would you like some ale?
You could put some heroic statues or wells right at the gates. I think the build plot system is an interesting idea, for sure. But the thing is that the fortress defender already has so much stacked against him that to limit any of the build options available to him only hurts him more. I don't know. It's got its advantages though, in that the farms that are built on the build plots are instantly at 100% production, which is quite nice. You know, you can really get some farms going. Maybe I should have done that a bit more instead of as many unit production buildings. It's hard to say. Again, just trying to figure out this balance, trying to figure out how it all really works. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. There's a lot of variables that people don't typically deal with.
Pick up those bones!
Which is what makes it so fun, though.
Forward! Move up!
Our spears are pledged to Gondor.
We await the steward's order.
We're going for a stroll.
We bring spears from Lindia.
Yeah, walls kind of feel a little pointless in this. I mean, they look great. They keep your base completely protected. You know, they're invulnerable. But in terms of like putting troops on them, I mean, they feel a little pointless. Like it's a great idea. It looks amazing, but especially with how troops like to get down from the walls, your archers, whenever you put them up there and they have auto targeting, they don't want to stay up there. They keep constantly coming down. So there's a lot more micro than is necessary, I think. And that's never been a solution. There's never been a real solution to that problem either. It works great in BFME 1. They don't come down from the walls, but I think that I think maybe it has to do with the stances, the way that the stances work in BFME 1 compared to ROTWK or AOTR.
Spearmen of Lindia, at your command.
I don't think it works that way in Edyne. I know the default stance your troops will auto target, and also in the aggressive stance. So maybe, but see, in the aggressive stance, they get higher attack, lower armor, and still auto target. Maybe the better thing to do would be to have them in default stance, where the default stance would not auto target. I don't know. I know you could put them in guard mode, but then they don't do anything. You have to manually choose how they target, but then they have lower attack.
They'll feel the edge of our axes. Ready and waiting, my lord. Lift your axes, men of Latinum.
Men stand ready to defend Gondor. I need some action.
They'll feel the edge of our axes.
The enemy is upon us, men!
Men of Lydia, ready to serve the White City.
Quickly, and then get too close!
Ready and waiting, my lord. Keep them back. Do not let them pass.
Yeah, them sending in the Dunedain there. That hurts. They're a good tier 2 unit. They have higher armor than, you know, the troops that I'm spamming out here. Even with Forlong and his experience boost and some of the armor boosts that I'm giving them through the spellbook power, it's just not enough when you got that many Dunedain backed up by all their spam units and archers.
Rest easy, men.
And there they are attacking the gate. Look how much damage they're doing. It might seem like a very small amount, but it's not as small as it is in vanilla. And I think in BFME 2 they've made it to where you can't attack gates at all, or if you can, it does 0 damage. One of the two. It's been a while.
We've improved the barracks. Quickly, and then get too
So you can see that I'm just struggling way too much to keep up at this point. See, this is what I'm talking about, where the units, they don't...
Don't let them any further!
I don't know, if you're going to have a nice thing like that in the middle, maybe make it to where units can just pass through it to increase gameplay value. And there goes my hero.
Men of Lydia, ready to serve the White City.
We protect the
Yeah,
Black Root
there's ways of doing this to where it could improve things. Be really cool to have those garrisonable.
Quickly, and then get too close!
Yeah, I'd just love to make it come to life where those towers would be full of archers,
At the ready.
and that way the enemy would be forced to resort to siege. I would want it to be where the dormitories inside could be destroyed, but they could also be rebuilt. I don't know if that's something that's even possible or not. Maybe have one of those build plots available inside of the tower that would rebuild.
What does the White Tower
But
command? Commence the march.
I don't know, that might be a little tricky.
We are warriors of Lydia.
Don't let them any further! Keep them at bay! Send forth the volley! Quick, cover, men!
Will not bow to this ranger from the north.
Protect the granary!
So yeah, here I'm about to just call it. But yeah, so this has been interesting, just trying to give a little bit more enlightening commentary on everything. It's a hard one, and I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts on all of this, or any part of it. And I'd love to take part in a PvP game, Fortress map style, with anyone who wants it. The call is still out there, and yeah, we can try to work something out here. Alright, take it easy.